Hi, I'm Doreen Corridan and I'm here today to talk about the 2020 breeding season and the role of the stock bull. The aim of the 2020 breeding season is that we retain 82% of the current milking herd for 2021. Secondly, that we breed our replacement heifers from the highest genetic merit cows with the best performance. And finally, that we maximise the value of the 2021 calf crop. Now, for the stock bull, assuming he's of the correct genetic merit, so he's adding value to the herd genetically and also to the calf crop, we want to avoid difficult calvings. But what I'll focus on today is the fertility of the stock bull, and what we need is 90% of our cows calved in 6 weeks with a 9% empty rate, and this allows us about 9% for voluntary culling. Now, so with bulls, if we speak about young bulls, the key here is to purchase them in advance, right? And why we purchase bulls in advance, believe it or believe it not, males suffer more from stress than actually females do, and also bulls are sold singly while females are sold in group. If we purchase the bull in advance, we can get him vaccinated with whatever the herd is vaccinated with and get his primary and booster shot into him before the breeding season. Secondly, we can also dung sample the bull to make sure he's carrying no parasitic burden into the actual breeding season. And finally, we can train the bull so we've time to do it, so he's competent at mating before we actually release him. Now, prior to releasing bulls with cows, it's critically important to get your vet to fertility test the bulls. And this fertility test has 3 parts, because what we want to ensure is that we have a sexual athlete to be released with our females when we actually require them. So with the fertility test your vet will carry out, there are 3 parts to it. The first thing is the bull capable of being an athlete? Are his heart, lungs, mobility and movement okay? Secondly, is his external and genitalia normal? And finally, the quality of the sperm, that the sperm is good enough and capable of very high pregnancy rate without any morphological defects that cannot actually be corrected for. They are the 3 critical parts of a semen fertility test. Also, for older bulls, I'd encourage each of you to do is to look back on last year's performance, because one thing is, how did that bull actually perform last year? So let's say you're a Hereford bull and you got your first Hereford calves on the 17th of March. How many Hereford calves did you get in the first 3 weeks up to the first week of April? How many Hereford calves did you get up to the end of April in the first 6 weeks? And how many cows were actually culled because they were empty? Get your vet to analyse that performance with you to see what is the performance of the older bull. The other thing I'm always cognizant of, and I come across it very, very common, is herd owners where they had 2 bulls in the mating season and they did exceptionally well the subsequent calving season. However, then one of the bulls got culled, either because he got too heavy or because he got aggressive. And often it could be the most fertile bull that got culled and the subfertile bull was retained. And if the bulls are the same breed, this can be actually quite difficult to ascertain. Now, once we have our bulls actually semen tested, the key then is what we need to do is to make sure the bulls actually are getting the fairest opportunity they possibly can get to achieve our goals. So the key then is to get the ratio right. So what is the correct ratio? It varies from bull to bull. It's hard to generalize, but if we have to achieve high productive performance, we'd be talking about 30 empty cows with a mature bull and 10 to 15 empty cows with a young bull. A lot of people think that ratio is too low. It's not. It's not. To achieve high reproductive performance, you need those ratios. And the mistake I commonly see making is herd owners do not do a rough estimation of how many empty cows they have left before they release the bulls. And this is key. Work out, how many empty cows have I left? how many empty heifers have I left, how many bulls have you available, and then work out those ratios. 1 per 30 mature, 1 10 to 15 actually young bull. Then with the natural service mating, unfortunately all the work is front loaded. So if you've 30 empty cows, there's 30 cows to be mated in the next 21 days. The following 3 weeks after that, you have less than 15, and the following 3 weeks after that, you're into single digit. This is very difficult for young bulls because all the workload is front loaded. There is no pre-season training, there's no workload up to it. It's a little bit like yourself during the calving season, all the work is front loaded. So the fact the work is front loaded, that way so the ratios actually need to be actually more correct. Now, also for young bulls, what's very important is for you as a herd owner to satisfy yourself that this young bull is capable of mating before you actually release him with females. And the easiest way to do that is once the bull is past his fertility test, put him out in the paddock with a friend, and then when you have a suitable size female on heat, put that female in with the actual bull and watch to see the actual bull mating. And once you are happy that that bull was interested in the female in heat, mounted her, achieved intromission and ejaculated semen into the vagina, you then can release that bull with actually females. However, if the bull did not perform as you wished him to perform, remove that female after 2 to 3 hours, and the next day you have a suitable female in heat, reintroduce with the bull and observe, and keep repeating that any day you have a female in heat until such time that you're confident the young bull can actually serve correctly. Otherwise you could actually lose very easily a week. Now, a couple of tips that help during the breeding season when you actually decide you have the correct amount of bulls to cover the amount of empty females you need mated is when you release your stock bull, continually AIing for the next 10 to 14 days after releasing your bull. This will avoid the lull you often get between AI and the stock bull, as a bull needs a bit of time to actually get into his routine. He needs a bit of time to understand and work with the females, and for those 10 to 15 days you're actually protecting yourself, against that actual lull in calving. Secondly, any day you have more than 2 cows in heat per bull, or where there's consistently more than 2 cows coming in heat per day per bull. So 2 cows in heat per day in a 21 days, 42 empty cows. AI those cows on those days, right? Also, really watch out for synchronized groups of cows when they're due, because bulls can be overworked. And this is especially true with maiden heifers. If you have synchronized maiden heifers, all the repeats are actually going to come back together. And if you have a young bull, I would advise you to take him out for those 2 to 3 days, do heat detection, and then let back in the bull. As a young bull, in with that number of females coming back together, he will just get injured and then he'll actually be out for the actual season. The other thing then is with bulls, if you have 2 or more bulls, 24 hours on, 24 hours off work exceptionally well. Especially for young bulls, it gives them time to rest, it gives them time to eat. But also in mature bulls, it maximizes the work rate of each bull, because a dominant bull may not be the most fertile, and a dominant bull in a group of females with another bull, he will protect 1 to 2 females that are in heat and avoid other bulls actually mating those females. While if he's 24 hours on, 24 hours off, he's just doing that for 24 hours, and in the other 24 hours other bulls get the opportunity to actually mate. And be very careful of a dominant subfertile bull, and this is why the 24 hours on, 24 hours off works quite well. Also, if you have more than 2 bulls on farms, and if you have long walkways, what works very well is letting the bulls in the paddock and avoid having them to walk long distances. Because if you have 2 bulls, you could have 24 hours on, 24 hours off very easily, or 4 bulls, split them into 2 twos. It will be difficult for the first day or 2 to keep them in the paddock, but once you feed them and train them to stay in the paddock, they'll actually stay there quite comfortably. Now, Then the most important thing during the actual breeding season is to monitor your bulls. There are a number of ways of monitoring. We must monitor the herd and we must monitor the bull. The easiest way to monitor the herd is fit the bull with a chin ball. Keep the pain topped up, and that'll let you know morning and evening how many are actually bred. Equally with dairy cows, you may have electronic methods like this herd is here, or tail paint to actually monitor the bull, which is very important. Even if you just topped up the tail paint once a week, do you know what I mean, it will do you. And in maiden heifers, you could actually use scratch cards to monitor the bulls. Especially with maiden heifers, I'd use a chin ball and scratch cards, as often when you go to herd the maiden heifers when the bull is with them, they're all lying down and you may see very, very little activity. Then monitor your bull, especially older bulls for lameness or injury, but also younger bulls, they really suffer lameness injury, and pull out the lame bull. Identify what the problem is and rest the bull, as lame bulls will not get cows and calf. Also with young bulls, monitor them. Are they getting lethargic? Are they actually losing weight? Also, if the bull suffers any insults like a high temperature, take him out, get to your vet, treat him. And there's an old wives' tale that tells us that antibiotics renders bulls infertile. They do not. So I mean, this is untrue. It's high temperatures and stress and loss of weight, so I mean, that renders actually bulls infertile. And the big thing is you're monitoring the herd. So if you've more than 2 a day in heat, or if you have a synchronized group coming back, take out the young bull, watch the bulls for those couple of days, AI at the same time, right? Equally, if you see the bull lame or the bull injured or the bull running a high temperature, take him out. And always fertility test the bull after an insult, as especially after some conditions like photosynthesization, it could take the bull 3 to 6 months to actually return. And there is no harm if your bull is not fertile, but he's fit, he's active, you can actually use him as the teaser. Let him with the cows and still AI them. Because the key here is to end up with a 90% 6-week calving rate and a 90% empty rate. Now I think these cows are looking for a bull there, so fond of me, they're enjoying the talk. Now, and to summarise, essentially what we're looking for is a sexual athlete to end up with 90% of those cows calved in 6 weeks and 9% empty rate. And the important points are, get that bull semen tested. Make sure the semen is okay, the bull is fit for purpose, his external and internal genitalia are normal. Analyse last year's performance of the older bull. Be careful of 2 bulls of the same breed you had last year performed well and you'd actually sold one this year. Keep an eye for 10 to 14 days after releasing the bulls. When you have more than 2 cows in heat per day, AI them. Watched when the repeats are due from a synchronized actually groups of cows. And then it's all about monitoring. Monitoring the herd, watching the number of repeats coming back, monitoring the bull for injury, lameness, high temperature, the bull getting lethargic, or the bull actually losing weight. And just remember, what you need is a sexual athlete. And if you think your bull is not a sexual athlete, so I mean, you need to actually do more AI or else actually replace the bull. I suppose final, a word of warning, a bull is a bull, so we need to be careful out there and we need to stay safe. So good luck with your actual breeding season. Thank you.